Have you guys seen this new documentary that's going viral? It's covered by mainstream media, senators appear on it, different politicians. A lot of people, Pentagon officials, a lot of really high-ranking people appear in this documentary. We have to talk about it. The message is clear that we are not alone. They're saying that aliens are real. Well, what they're calling them is non-human intelligence, okay? They're saying it exists 100%, and these non-human craft and the technology that they have, the government is in possession of them, and many governments around the world have been hiding this for 80 years. If you haven't seen the trailer, here it is.
This is the biggest discovery in human history. It has so many beneficial impacts, including clean energy.
This one breakthrough can be the key to interstellar travel.
We can talk more about teleportation.
How can we use these technologies and all the capabilities that might come from it, not to fight a war, but to increase our standard of living?
If the capabilities that exist become known to the world, it might very well be that it is to the benefit of mankind.
So the film is called Age of Disclosure, and it comes out November 21st. If you're watching this before it comes out or after, I'm not recommending the movie. I'm just saying this is what we have to talk about. In this movie, they interview 34 U.S. government insiders. That's right, 34. Senators, admirals, intelligence directors, you name it. You know, they're going to interview them, and they have interviewed them, and they're all saying the same thing. Disclosure is here. This thing is real. And here's the proof for it. They're going to show proof. So the truth is coming out, and people must prepare. But what if I told you that they're not aliens, okay? This non-human intelligence is not alien. And what if I told you that the craft that they're flying around in, this technology, the ones that they're reverse engineering, that the government's reverse engineering right now, they were buried in the flood of Noah. That's right. It's biblical, people. And on top of all that, what if I told you that this disclosure will be the greatest deception humanity has ever seen? So in this movie, Age of Disclosure, it features 34 high-ranking U.S. government officials, all right? These are people in the military, intelligence community, senators, and all this stuff, okay? But these aren't conspiracy theorists, right? These aren't internet trolls. These aren't wackos. These aren't weirdos. These aren't people at the typical UFO conferences, right? No, these are legit people, and these are credible people. These are people with names, faces, and security clearances. In the film is Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He says in the film, when it comes to UFOs, or UAPs as they're officially called, he says even the president is operating on a need-to-know basis, right? And we know this. We know that a lot of presidents haven't been read in on this, and a lot of them have tried and failed. And the reason for that is because it's demonic. The whole thing is demonic, and if the presidents know about it, they're going to panic and they're going to, push the red button. And the intelligence community, they don't want that to happen. So the disclosure has to be on their own terms, which is going to come with misinformation, disinformation, deflection, and total lies about the whole thing. And then also we're going to have former U.S. Director of the government's UAP task force, Stratton. He's been quoted saying that he's seen it with his own eyes. Non-human craft, non-human beings exist. He's seen it. He said it wasn't debris. It wasn't distant lights. No, he said craft and beings exist, and he's seen them. This is disclosure, folks. There's no question about it. The film claims that, the United States government is secretly working to capture UFOs since 1947, since Roswell, okay? That crashes have been recovered and dug up from underground. And we've known this. We've had several whistleblowers saying that several crashes were found underground and have been dug up and recovered that way. Okay. And that's why it's kind of a red flag that these things are from the days of Noah. And that links to exactly what Jesus Christ told us, that he's going to come back when the days of Noah reoccur, as it was in the days of Noah. And here we are entering that exact time period. Is that a coincidence? No, it's not. So anyway, in this film, they're saying that these materials that they've, gathered, that they've been analyzed and they've been reverse engineered. Now, and what they're going to tell us is the most explosive secret in human history has been kept from the public until now. However, we know about all this stuff already. It's not new. The fact that they're saying it means that they have their own agenda, and that whole agenda is to separate it from the demonic aspect, from the spiritual aspect of this, because they want people scared. They want people thinking that these are, beings from another planet rather than spiritual entities from another dimension. So Jay Stratton goes further, and he's saying that there's a secret war among the nations to reverse engineer this technology. We know these things have been recovered all over the planet. Okay. We've talked about it many times. I've talked about different crashes in Iran, all the way South America, Italy, Russia, Germany, you name it. There's crashes everywhere. And Stratton's also saying the first country to crack that code will be the leader for years to come. Okay. That they're going to be far superior than anybody else. And this whole thing is similar to the Manhattan Project, basically atomic weapons on steroids, right? The atomic bomb, but bigger. That's what they're comparing it to. And yeah, it's a lot bigger than the Manhattan Project. It makes the Manhattan Project look like child's play, all right? This is a technological arms race, but it's not the way you think. It's a technological arms race with the purpose of deceiving people, with tricking humanity, and with getting people all aboard their train, okay? And here's the kicker, everybody. They're telling you this is good news. They're making it out to be this celebration. Okay, everybody, let's celebrate. It's great news. We have this new technology. It can change humanity. It can change the way everybody lives, and people can prosper, and nobody's going to be poor. Nobody's going to be sad. No more anger or depression. None of that. Everything's good now, right? It's going to solve climate change. It's going to develop clean energy. We're going to evolve to the next stage of being the next stage of humanity. But where have we heard that before? That's right. This is what the New Age has been saying, and that's exactly what Satan said in the Garden of Eden. He said, "Eat this fruit and you shall be as gods." This technology is exactly what Satan tempted Eve with. If you take this technology, you shall be as gods. So here we have the fallen one himself in control of this in the same way that he was in control of the fall in the Garden of Eden, okay? If that doesn't make sense to you, hopefully it will by the end of this, because I'm going to keep going. All right. The documentary, well, it frames humanity's greatest moment as this technology being unveiled to the public. Okay. First contact, the end of isolation, the beginning of a new era. But there's a catch. And there's a big problem that nobody's talking about, because humanity has seen this before, right? Not in 1947, not in 2004 with the Nimitz. No. We've seen this thousands of years ago. And it didn't end well for them. The Sumerians, they called them the Anunnaki, those from heaven who came to earth, okay? The Egyptians depicted them as the gods that were arriving on skyboats. The Sanskrit text of India describes Vimanas, flying machines so detailed, so technical that they read like engineering manuals. But we, Christians, us Bible believers, we call them fallen angels. These are the same beings who have deceived humanity for thousands of years, and they continue to do so today. In fact, not only do they continue to do so today, they are ramping up their deception in a major way right now as we speak. You're living today to see one of the most insane events ever to happen in the history of the world, and you were chose for this moment. The Lord God chose you to live here and to be on earth today to witness all of this. Why? Well, I don't know. Maybe so you can help people understand that what they're talking about here isn't what they're saying, that it's actually linked to the Bible, linked to Jesus Christ himself, and linked to Bible prophecy. So listen to this, guys. There's an ancient Indian text called the Ramayana. It was written thousands of years ago, and it describes these Vimanas, these flying machines, basically UFOs, or what they're calling now UAPs. They were very specific with the way they describe these things. And to some people, they're going to say it's mythology, but generally mythology isn't. For one, it's not that specific. And for two, it's not corroborated by other mythologies around the world that say the exact same thing, just in different words. You see, every single culture worldwide talks about things just like this, but the Bible is the only one, right? The ancient Hebrews were the only ones to paint them in a negative picture, to say they are pure evil. Every other culture, they said they were, pragmatic at best. They weren't necessarily pure evil. They were more like chaotic, right? So they could be good or evil depending on what mood they're in. But we know them to be pure evil, okay? 100% pure evil. Everything about them is evil. There isn't one ancient culture on earth that doesn't talk about stories like this. Sky gods, chariots of fires, beings who came down and taught humanity technology beyond comprehension. Okay, this is not mythology. This is history. This is a global history that's being told by every single culture worldwide. All right? Now, here's what mainstream media, mainstream history, and regular people won't tell you. The Bible does record this, all right? And I'm not talking about Ezekiel's wheel, because everybody wants to talk about, what did Ezekiel see? Read it. Ezekiel didn't see a UFO. Ezekiel was taken into another dimension. He had a vision. He wasn't seeing it with his own two eyes in the flesh and blood. No, he was out of his body. And you might be saying, well, if it's not in Ezekiel, then where is it? Easy. Genesis 6, 1-4. When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, the daughters were born to them, right? The sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive. And I'm paraphrasing here, guys. But the sons of God were attracted to the women of earth. And you might be saying, well, sons of God, that's my pastor told me that's the sons of Seth. Those are humans. They're not humans. Look at the Hebrew. The Hebrew for sons of God is B'nai Ha-Elohim. And that term in all of the Hebrew Bible only refers to angels, to supernatural beings, okay? There's not one instance in the entire Bible that B'nai Ha-Elohim refers to a human. It doesn't happen. So to say that is taking the Bible out of context, and it's putting your own spin on it and taking the original context out of it, which is obviously incorrect and illogical to do. So yes, the sons of God were not human. The B'nai Elohim is not a term that talks about humans. It never was, and it never will be. So that argument is put to bed right now. So these sons of God, they took wives, and their offsprings were the Nephilim. We've talked about this a million times on this channel. I'm pretty sure that all of you guys know this already, but maybe some of you don't. If you don't, just go through my channel. The whole channel's filled with stuff like this. So these were the giants of old, the men of renown, according to the Bible. So when you realize that the term sons of God means angels, and you see what they did, you look at what happened and how it caused the Lord God to flood the entire earth to get rid of them, to get rid of them and their offspring and the technology that they taught humans, you understand that these weren't holy angels. No, these are fallen angels. These are fallen angels who descended to earth and disobeyed God. Not just disobeyed, but the transgression that they committed was so severe that the Lord had to destroy the earth and start it all over again. For 2,000 years, the church has understood Genesis 6 literally, like the way we're talking about it, all right? It was only in the last few centuries, after the Enlightenment, after naturalism took over, that academia and scholars, they started saying, oh, it's just a metaphor, or it's the sons of Seth. Okay, the sons of God, that was just humans, they were just bad guys, the sons of Seth, which logically makes absolutely no sense, because that's not even what the text says. The text clearly states that these were angels, okay? It's clear. So that's not even a debate. But there's another text, a text that elaborates on Genesis 6, and it goes into more detail. A detail that's so specific that it was revered by the early church. A text that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church still includes in their canon. And yes, you guessed it, it's a Book of Enoch. And I'm talking about First Enoch specifically. Second and Third Enoch are their forgeries, their mysticism, and they should not be read. First Enoch is quoted word for word in the Bible. It's fact that even at the time that Jesus lived, the Book of Enoch was circulated and read, and everybody knows that story back then. Okay, that was part of the worldview. Okay, the Book of Enoch was the worldview of the first century Christians, and it was the worldview in the Second Temple period as well. And Enoch describes exactly what happened before the flood. Exactly. Enoch was Noah's great-grandfather. Genesis says that God took him away. He didn't die. He was translated to heaven. He was the first person to be raptured, so to speak. All right. He was taken up. And according to the Book of Enoch, the first book of Enoch, God showed him everything. Okay. The rebellion, the corruption, the reason for the flood. It goes into way more detail than Genesis 6 does. And Enoch says 200 angels descended on earth. They took an oath on top of Mount Hermon, basically saying, I know this is bad, but we're going to do it, and let's all stick together so not one of us gets punished. All of us will get punished equally. And that's what happened, okay? They knew it was a sin, but they did it anyway. Why? That's up for debate. Some people say it was lust of the flesh. Some people say it was a pre-planned corruption of earth trying to usurp humanity. They knew it was a sin, and they took their wives, and they had their offspring that produced giants. The giants were evil. They were eventually turned to cannibalism and ate themselves and ate humans and ate everybody. They destroyed everything, right? The whole entire earth was corrupted. All of it was corrupted with their black magic and with their evil, okay? And the fallen angels also taught humanity things they weren't supposed to know. Technology, all right? It was the technology of the time, like weapons and armor and stuff like that. Nonetheless, they taught them technology. And they also taught women how to look nice, put on makeup, how to appear, let's just say, to appear in a different way. These specifically talk about a technology transfer. These are heavenly beings that are teaching humanity sciences that we weren't ready for. Sound familiar? It should, because that's exactly what's happening right now. The days of Noah are being replayed right now, just in a different way with a modern twist. These are the days of Noah 2.0. There's no question about it, in my opinion. Now, let me ask you this question. All right. If fallen angels taught humanity advanced technology thousands of years ago, and if they had their own technology that they didn't teach us, right? Technology like UAPs, craft that travels between heavens and the earth, what happened to it? How did they get on the top of Mount Hermon, right? Did they just appear there? I don't think so. Because every single time that the Bible talks about angels interacting with humanity, every single time, 100% of the time, it's in the physical. Angels are human, okay? They look like humans. In the book of Hebrews, it tells us to be careful when we're entertaining strangers because they might be angels, all right? Angels and humans can look exactly the same and do look exactly the same according to the Bible every single time. But there is a little bit of difference to them. Remember Sodom and Gomorrah, right? When the angels were so beautiful that the entire town wanted to assault them in a very dirty way. So they had to destroy the entire town. That was a lustful thing. These are beautiful beings. They saw these angels and they're like, yeah, we want that, right? Disgusting. Every time the angels interact with people, it's in the flesh, right? They eat food with people. They interact with people. They scare people. A lot of times people are frightened when they see the angels. But nonetheless, they look like humans. So they're going to look like humans that are a little bit different looking, something off about them, something obvious that says that these are not 100% human, that these are angels. These are sons of God. So if these angels appeared on the top of Mount Hermon in a physical form, in human form, like they do, how did they do it? Well, here is where I think they landed in UFOs. That's how they traveled from their dimension to ours. That's how they got to the top of Mount Hermon. They landed in UFOs. And I see it as this. I see the entire world was inundated with these UFOs. These UFOs were everywhere because the fallen angels had set up their kingdom, the kingdom of Atlantis. Okay, all these ancient cities, Baalbek, ancient Egypt, Göbekli Tepe, South America, all these ancient megalithic sites, these were basically occupied by giants, fallen angels, and their technology. God destroyed the world. What happened to their technology? What happened when the flood came? Genesis 7:11 tells us that all of the fountains of the great deep burst forth, all right? And all the windows of heaven were open. It was a global cataclysm. Water from below and above inundated the world. It destroyed everything. Continents shifting. The world destroyed, totally destroyed. And what happens to things, to items, when water destroys them in a giant flood? Well, they get buried. They get buried under sediment, under rock, under layers of sediment that eventually, when it dries out, turns to rock. So therefore, if you follow this line of thinking, there are many, many, many UFOs under the ground, buried throughout the world. And this is exactly what we see. And this is exactly what we see occurring in our mainstream media. And according to mainstream media, according to a lot of whistleblowers, according to basically this whole ufology field in general, this is exactly what we see. There's underground UFOs at Skinwalker Ranch. There's underground UFOs at Bradshaw Ranch. There's underground UFOs and also deep underground military bases that were built long before we were here, which is also probably part of their technology, right? There's been many whistleblowers talking about that they've recovered UFOs that were found underground. Bob Lazar said it. And Ross Coulthart said it. He said that they have a UFO that is so big, so massive that it was found underground that they couldn't take it out of the ground. They couldn't dig it up. So what do? They built a building over it so they can go down and investigate it without being seen. Here's the clip.
And imagine if, as I've just intimated to you, some of these objects are not capable of being moved because they're too bloody big. I know exactly where it is. Imagine having an object that's so big, it's just not conceivable to move it.
This theme is central to ufology, that there are underground UFOs buried in thick rock, under mountains, under rubble, under these giant formations that should be impossible. How would they get there? Well, if the water liquefied everything, that's how they got implanted in there, all right? The flood of Noah put them there. It's easy. The Bible tells us that the flood was specifically designed to destroy the corruption on earth, specifically to wipe out the Nephilim, to bury their cities, and all of their knowledge, all their lost knowledge gets put under the ground, figuratively and literally. The knowledge of the Watchers that was introduced by the fallen angels, by the Watchers themselves. All earth was made desolate by the deeds and teachings of these fallen angels. by the teaching, right? The knowledge, the technology, and God destroyed all of it, every single piece of it. Now, destroying something doesn't mean erasing it. Burying it doesn't mean eliminating it. It means hiding it, preserving it, locking it away under miles and miles of sediment, ocean floors, ice sheets in Antarctica, just waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for a specific time. People are like, well, what's that specific time? Why now? Here's where it gets crazy. Jesus himself warned us about this. His very own words warned us about this exact thing. We'll talk about that in just a second. But first, I also want to touch on the fact that Enoch says that the watchers themselves, they weren't killed. They weren't destroyed. No, they were bound. They were bound in prison. They were imprisoned underground in everlasting darkness. They're still alive today. They're still there. They're somewhere. Whether that's in a different dimension or they're in a physical place under the earth somewhere, that's up for debate. But I think it's a physical place. And also, real quick, I just want to touch on something else real quick. I'm not going to get into this, but I just want to say the knowledge, right? All the knowledge that they had in the pre-flood world that was destroyed, well, that's not gone either. That's precisely what occultists use. That's the mystery schools, the mystery religions. That's all of the dark arts, black magic. That's precisely what they're getting at. That's why all the New Agers and all the occultists are trying to find this ancient secret knowledge. Yeah, there is ancient secret knowledge, and that's the knowledge of the fallen angels. And that's a specific reason why Aleister Crowley went into the pyramids themselves and performed a ritual where he made contact with a being who dictated to him his religion. Everything Aleister Crowley did and stood for and thought and believed and all these things came from a being that hails from the pre-flood world. So Aleister Crowley is tapping into this ancient knowledge that was destroyed in the flood, and he's bringing it back into today. And now because of this knowledge that he uncovered in the pyramids from the ancient pre-flood world, now people worldwide are all following his anthem of do as thou wilt. And that links Aleister Crowley to the ancient world, to the pre-flood world, to today, because we all know Crowley is more popular than ever before right now. His beliefs are basically mainstream at this point. But I digress, all right? Let's go back a little bit and start talking about this film now that we have a little bit more backstory. So the Age of Disclosure, it builds on the fact that this technology was found and we have it and we've been reverse engineering it. And there's been some headway made, right? That's what the film focuses on. It's talking about all these officials that are saying different variations of the same exact thing, that this technology is real, the craft are real, and not only that, the beings are real too. But nobody, not David Grush, not Luis Elizondo, not the senators, none of the whistleblowers, no admirals, nobody, okay? Nobody is asking the important questions, the questions that actually matter. And that is, where did this technology come from? That's what we're doing right here. We are asking these questions because they refuse to talk about it. In fact, not only do they refuse to talk about it, they downright dismiss any talk that these things are what I'm talking about right now. Why? Because they have an agenda, and their agenda is to convince the American public that this is some great technology that's going to help mankind go into the next age, and it's going to usher us into this new phase of mankind where we're just, it's a utopia under this crazy technology. Give me a break. I mean, I could talk for hours about this, but I really don't want to take any more of your time. So let's just talk about what they're selling, because this Age of Disclosure documentary coming out, or already came out, depending on when you watch this, they're not revealing government secrets. No, it's setting up a narrative. It's telling us a narrative, and it's trying to sell it to the public. And the narrative goes like this. Humanity is not alone. Advanced beings from other worlds have been visiting us for millennia. In fact, they seeded our civilization. We're here because of them. They terraformed Earth and they created humans using genetic engineering. They guided our evolution. We are a product of them. We're here because of them. They are our gods. They're going to say that they've been watching us from a distance, waiting for us to be ready. And now we've entered that point where we're ready now. We're ready. We're finally ready. We're mature. We're advanced enough. We're ready to join the galactic community. But in reality, that's the deception. The galactic community? No, there is no galactic community. There's destruction and there's Jesus Christ. That's it. They don't come in peace, all right? They're going to claim they do, but they don't come in peace. They're going to have technology that's going to solve the world's problems, all of our problems. Clean energy, cures for diseases, the end of war. And they want people to evolve into humanity 2.0. Transcendence, unity, consciousness that will merge with machines and become something greater. Sounds good, right? Right? That's what they want us to believe. They think it sounds so good. Sounds like salvation. And that's the point. If the public believes this, well, then they win. Because the Bible warns us about a deception that will be so big, so convincing, so sophisticated that if it was possible, even the elect would be deceived. And look, I know I talk about this a lot, but for a event that's going to be such a large event, it's going to encapsulate the entire world, I think I need to keep talking about it because there's always new people watching and not everybody's seen every single video I've made. Oh, and also before I forget, think about what is it, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. It tells us exactly what's coming. It tells us the coming of the lawless one will be Satan, right? He's going to come and he's going to basically show the world signs and wonders. And these false signs and wonders are going to deceive so many people. The deception will be very powerful. And the thing is, God allows it to happen as a test. He wants to see who rejects the truth and who believes in him actually believes, not just says they believes. He wants to see who believes the lie and who believes in his son, Jesus Christ. And us, the remnant, the people who actually understand what's happening and see it happening in slow motion, we're not going to be deceived. But according to the Bible, the majority of Christians will be deceived with the big lie. What lie? It's the lie. The lie that these beings are our saviors. They're our creators. They are our gods. But they're not, because the Bible offers a different explanation, the explanation that fits all of the data, past and present, perfectly. And this is just how I see things, guys. Because the Bible tells us fallen angels, well, they rebelled. They descended to earth. They took human form. They bred with humans. They created the Nephilim. They taught forbidden knowledge. They corrupted all flesh. God sent a flood, wiped them out, destroyed them. And the flood buried all of their evidence under layers and layers of rock. Okay, that's the days of Noah. Now remember what I said about Jesus talking about as it was in the days of Noah, all right? So here we have this parallel that's undeniable. We have this undeniable parallel that's happening right now that Jesus told us, when you see these things happen, when you see the fallen angels on earth, okay, the presence of the fallen angels, the presence of the Nephilim, those specific things are what marked the days of Noah. So why now? Why is the disclosure happening right now? Why is the governments of the world and why is our government suddenly admitting that they've been hiding these things, okay? For 80 years, they've been hiding them. Why right now, 2025? Well, they understand what's coming. They understand, so they're trying to get ahead of it. All right, and which is really the dumbest thing ever. Like, really? You really think you're going to get ahead of Jesus? Give me a break. So if you're still not convinced that what Jesus said about as it was in the days of Noah has anything to do with what's happening right now, let's just go over it real quick one more time so we can make sure we hit every angle. 1, days of Noah. The presence of the Nephilim, the presence of the fallen angels, what were they doing? Well, first thing they were doing, genetic manipulation. Are we doing that now? Yes, we are. Right now, we have the capability to manipulate genetics, and we have been doing it. They're editing human genomes and embryos, creating chimeras, pursuing transhumanism, posthumanism even. We are at the stage where they're trying to upgrade humans. Definitely, okay? CRISPR-Cas9, Neuralink, merging humanity with AI, uploading your consciousness to the cloud, all of these things. What about violence and corruption? Check, and then some, okay? The hearts of men have grown cold. Another prophecy the Bible said would happen. It's happened. What about forbidden technology? Just like in the days of Noah, the fallen angels taught humanity things they weren't supposed to know. What about now? Yes, we do. We have artificial intelligence. We have quantum computing that is actually opening the door to other dimensions, in their own words, opening the door to other dimensions where they're getting information from these other dimensions and bringing it back here. Okay, if this isn't a replay of the days of Noah, I don't know what is. Right? And you might be saying, what about the Nephilim? They're not here. They are here. The Nephilim are demons. The spirits of the Nephilim that were killed in the flood are they are the demons that inhabit people. They are the possessing spirits of demons. And they are here. And if you believe a lot of occultists that came forward to spill the beans, basically, a lot of major people around the world have invited these demons to not only possess them, but to use their body as like a meat suit. So yeah, the Nephilim are here. They're spirits. They're possessing people willingly through black magic and things like that. But they're also preparing to accept them through disclosure, through what we're talking about right now. All right. The media is going to embrace it. It's going to be normalized slowly. So when it does happen, they're not going to be scared of it. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, this whole thing. let's just get it over with, right? For 70 years, the government has denied UFOs. Completely denied it. They ridiculed people. They destroyed careers. Remember Project Blue Book? Yeah, that concluded that UFOs weren't real. That was the actual official government conclusion that UFOs are fake. But behind the scenes, they were recovering craft, reverse engineering, studying bodies, all these things. And even the leader of Project Blue Book back in the day that officially concluded that UFOs were fake, he, J. Allen Hynek, came out saying that no, they're not fake. They're real. But I was told to say that, right? He suddenly admitted that they are real. And he was the main guy trying to debunk it. And why now? And here we are now in 2025, the end of 2025. And suddenly we have 34 government officials going on camera to say that they're real. Suddenly there's these congressional hearings. Why the change? It's obvious, because they're preparing us. They're leveling the playing field. They're getting humanity ready, but not for the truth, but for the lie, the big lie, the lie that these beings are here to help us and that they are our ancestors, our creators, and our gods. And they're not. We only have one God. His name is Yahweh, and his son, Jesus Christ. But they're going to avoid that at all costs because they can't use the name of Jesus. They literally can't do it. And when these aliens officially arrive, right, when the craft appear in the sky en masse over our cities, making themselves known to everybody, they're going to perform signs and wonders, and people will accept them, right? Why will they accept them? Because we've been conditioned. They're conditioning us to accept them. They know something's coming, and they want to get ahead of it, like I've been saying. Look, guys, the fallen angels, they know they already lost. They read the Bible. They know what's in the Bible. They probably know what's in it better than anybody, okay? They know they can't win against the Lord God. But the Lord is giving them the opportunity to at least try. Why? Well, that's part of the mystery. We know that they think they can win, but we know they can't win. They're powerless against the Lord. 100% powerless. They can't do anything. They're already defeated. But I think one of the main reasons is because they want to take humanity with them. They know they lost. And they know if they pretend to fight, right? They think, well, if I make it this big spectacle, right, I'm going to pretend to fight even though I can't win. Some people will see that. They're going to jump on board with us and they're going to try and fight against God. Obviously, they're going to lose. And I think that's part of the whole test. I think part of the whole test, why we're here, is we have all the information. We have everything we need to know to be saved. What are we going to do with that? We're going to either accept Jesus Christ into our hearts and as our savior, or we're going to deny him and join the other side, right? That's the whole test. Again, it's exactly the same lie that Satan told Eve. You will be like gods. You're going to ascend, transcend, and evolve, okay? Join us, merge with technology, become immortal, and remove the chains of your biblical worldview, your primitive biblical worldview, right? That's what they're going to say. And if millions believe it, or billions, it's going to leave a mark. They're going to worship the beast, and they're going to be rejected by God because of it. But there is hope, really. There really is. Because when Jesus warned us about it, as it was in the days of Noah, he's not trying to scare us. He's trying to give us hope. He's trying to give us a mile marker, right? Because nobody knows the day or the hour that he returns. Nobody. Not even the angels in heaven. Only he does. So, but he's giving us a hint like, hey, when you see these things start to happen, perk up your ears because the time is running out. He wants to prepare us for what's coming, right? So here's what you need to understand, in my opinion. The age of disclosure, it's real. The craft, they are real. The technology, it is real. The beings, they're definitely real. And the government has been hiding this. They have been reverse engineering it. It's all true. Okay? There is a race among the nations to master it. It's all true. But the truth isn't this. The truth is the implications of this. They're, like I said, they're trying to frame it as something else, but it's not. It's the opposite of that. That's the bottom line here, people. It's a setup, it's a normalization, it's the preparation for humanity to accept when they fully manifest, to see them as our saviors instead of deceivers. They want people to take the mark. They want people to join their system and join the rebellion against the Creator, against God, against Jesus Christ. Because they know the more people that they can destroy, the better they are, right? The better off they are. They hate people. They hate humanity and they hate the souls of people, so they want to destroy them. Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's exactly what he's doing. And look, before the flood, right? In the days of Noah, before the flood, Noah was preaching righteousness. For 120 years, he was preaching righteousness. He was telling people, hey guys, this whole thing's going to happen. You better get right with God. And people mocked him. People called him crazy. People ignored the warnings, just like they do now. They went on living their lives, eating, drinking, marrying, until the flood happened, until the day that Noah entered the ark and the rain began to fall. And by then, you know the story, it was too late. And here we are paralleling that event. We're in this warning period right now. The rains haven't started to fall yet. No, but we can see the clouds coming and people are getting in the boat. Okay. The signs are here, people. And the technology is being recovered. These beings are manifesting, and they have been manifesting spiritually through occult practices, rituals, satanic things, stuff like that for a long time. But here we are bringing it to another level, stepping it up from the spiritual through the occult spiritual things that they've been doing, right, to the physical with this whole age of disclosure thing with these UFOs. Because, guys, honestly, the fallen angels know Jesus. They're terrified of him. The demons, they tremble when they hear his name. They literally tremble. They're scared. They're like little girls. You know, they're so scared of him that they can't even do anything but just crumble up into a little ball in his presence. They're nothing. They have no power. It's like trying to compare a housefly to an M1 Abrams tank. You know, I mean, that's a bad comparison because Jesus is infinitely more powerful than an M1 Abrams tank is. But you get the picture. You get the idea, right? Jesus is the ultimate power. And these things know it. These creatures, these beings, these spirits, they know it. They know him. And they're scared of him. So why be on the side of the losing team? Why be on the side of the things that are scared of something, right? Wouldn't you want to be on the side with the power? And that's the side of God, the side of Jesus Christ himself? I think you do. Most people should. And guys, this is only the beginning. And if you want to understand what's coming, what's happening, just read the Bible. All the signs are there, the timeline of events, the prophecy, it's all there. And you'll know what to watch for next because the fallen angels, their plan, it's about to accelerate. And I think you need to be ready, right? And when I say it's about to accelerate, I'm not giving a date. This could take 100 years. It could take 200 years. Who knows? It could take 10 years, 5 years, 1 year. Who knows? All I know is that we can see the clouds coming. And with that, I want to know what your opinion is with all this. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? If you think I'm wrong, let me know. If you think I'm right, let me know. If you agree with some things I said, put it in the comments. I would love to read your opinions on this. And I also want to thank you guys for watching this video. And until next time, God bless you all.